In my life, there are two major graphic moments, and that is when I first saw the Perry Mason TV show and when I first saw Lawrence of Arabia. And so now I'm practicing immigration law in the desert.
Like you, Carter, I wanted to be a lawyer from when I was little, when reading Nancy Drew books, I think.
Nancy Drew, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. But when I actually went into law, it was for different reasons. I thought coming out of university I had no skills, and so I thought being a lawyer would give me skills to help people. So I did go into law because I wanted to help people.
For me, practicing law is not a choice, it's not a profession, it's a disease. I do it because I have to, I do it because once I made up my mind to drop out of working for the government and go back to school, it was to do what I do. So it's a disease, it's something you catch, it's not something you can choose.
In those days, Gary Siegel, I believe, was the chair of the Canadian Lawyers Association. I was always concerned that the government didn't give that organization, the Immigration Department, sufficient respect. I felt it would be important for the integrity of the immigration bar to join the Canadian Bar Association, and I petitioned my colleagues in the Canadian Immigration Lawyers Association. They agreed with me. And I was asked by them to approach the Canadian Bar Association, and I was able to have them accept us as a unit of the Canadian Bar Association, and that has made a remarkable difference. The chairman of the Canadian Bar Association immigration section that are being honored for 30 years have really made a great contribution to a better way of life in Canada. We now have the support of the total bar, and we interface with the executive of the Canadian Bar Association to ensure that the submissions that we're making to the government are credible and trustworthy, and that's what makes it work. I must say that I admire what they've accomplished. They have dedicated themselves so much to helping people and helping immigrants in the totality and in the principle of the multicultural society that we have in this great country.
So the first chair of the national section was Mendel?
That's right.
Okay, great. Oh, here's Barbara.
Barbara.
Hello, Barbara. How are you? I'm fine. Good. Could you just speak up a little bit? We're on tape.
So Barbara was there at the original meeting. Matter of fact, everybody sitting at this table was at that original meeting. The people that have passed away were Stephen Abraham, Charlie Roach. We were at a Criminal Lawyers Association meeting, and Charlie said, we should start something like this for immigration. Gary, why don't you do it? I then called the meeting together, which took place at Hart House on the 30th of May, 1978. And that's how it
really?
I
started.
remember the meeting. What year did we join the bar?
When our section became national, it was because, part of the reason was because, there were now starting to be lawyers in other provinces, particularly British Columbia.
Yes.
Marshall.
Hi, hello, Marshall, how are you?
Hello.
Do you remember that meeting?
Yes, I do. That was the beginning of what grew up to be something that's really quite extraordinary if you think about it.
When we started practicing, there was no profession. There was
That's
no
right.
immigration bar. Now it's probably every single law school in the country teaches a course on
has
immigration. They have
And more than
specialized
one
courses
course.
on refugees or advanced immigration.
It's advanced, it's
Yeah.
come
But
up.
that all
Yeah,
came
no,
out of
I
the
mean, it's
people
all
sitting
come
here
out of
and
it.
others who took cases up to the Federal Court of Appeal
Who developed
and to
an
the
area of
Supreme
law.
Court of Canada
Yeah.
and developed a body of law.
I mean,
But-
the Department of Justice now has got to be about 300 people.
Oh, yeah,
They're on
they're
several
huge.
floors.
Yeah.
But when we started practicing, there was like 5 of them.
Yeah, there was like
Yeah.
not even
A little
handful.
crowd.
In terms of the cases in the 80s,
I think Singh was a key one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That the charter
Very,
applies
very.
to everyone
Yeah.
in Canada and at the border. Muliati was really important in terms of fairness. That's Federal Court of Appeal.
That was
Toth.
1985.
Toth, I can't read. And what year was Toth? Toth is probably one of the most significant ones. Until
Well,
Toth, the Court of
stays.
Appeal had not recognized that you could get stays.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
there was Lodge and the other cases before
Right,
that?
exactly.
Cecil, what about you? What have you seen over 30 years?
30 years ago, I formed the impression that common sense and immigration law are oxymorons. One of the reasons why I became a court lawyer was my mother. She didn't listen to me, and I thought I'd follow a profession where I could be heard. And that's the problem. Nobody hears me
And
anymore.
that's the difference you've put your finger on. We've gone from being a profession, immigration lawyer, of persuasion to being a profession of litigation. So is there anything else you'd like to do for a living? Is there anybody who can think of anything better than what we've done?
Yeah, are you kidding me? I'd like to be a grocer.
I don't know.
Win the lotto.
No, I mean, realistically,
Yeah.
realistically, you take your family, you walk into a restaurant, some guy comes over who you don't recognize and says, "Thank you, you brought me to Canada, my sons are doctors." I mean, what's better?